you guys remember September 11th and what you guys did that day and how you heard about it and what you saw on TV. And I'm going to discuss one of the events that I believe was a setup that day. And I'm going to be talking about the alleged Boeing 757 that hit the Pentagon. And I'm going to have one of the images up on the overhead. And I think it was a cruise missile that hit the Pentagon. It wasn't an actual Boeing 757. It seems that a Boeing 757 from that day, if anybody takes a look back at the images, you can clearly see that it wasn't a plane that hit it. There's no real evidence that shows that an actual plane hit the Pentagon. I guess you would say it's more of a conspiracy theory, but I'm not, well, I guess I am a conspiracy theorist. I'm going to be discussing the dynamics of a Boeing 757, the official explanation of the commission, the 9/11 Commission report, and the members and what they said about the jet fuel. And my last point is I'm going to show you the 5 frames that the Department of Defense released about the Pentagon. And the first thing that I would like to let you guys know about a Boeing 757, it was Flight 77 that hit the Pentagon. And I'm going to show you what the plane is actually made of and how it doesn't match the hole that's on the Pentagon.
That's too dark.
Is that blurry? Flight 77, it had 2 engines made of steel titanium alloy, which were 9 feet in diameter and 12 feet long, and they would weigh about 6 tons each. They're both 2 Rolls-Royce engines. It's 155 feet long, 44 feet high, and it has this 124-foot wingspan, and it weighs almost 100 tons. And I want you guys to know that, or I want to ask you guys, do you believe that this plane disappeared, as the 9/11 Commission members say, it vanished upon impact, and it disappeared into a 16-foot hole without leaving any debris on the lawn of the front of the Pentagon? And what could blow a 16-foot hole in the outer ring of the Pentagon and smash through 3 rings, 9 feet of steel reinforced concrete, and leave another 16-foot hole on the outer end? A 757 or a cruise missile. If Flight 77 vaporized on impact, it would be the first time in aviation history that this has ever happened before. Okay, now that I've showed you the dynamics of a 757, I'm going to discuss the official explanation that the 9/11 Commission members released of what caused the fires on the western end of the Pentagon. They say in the 9/11 Commission report that the intense heat from the jet fuel vaporized the entire plane. Titanium has a melting point of 16,000 degrees, and jet fuel is a hydrocarbon which can maintain a constant temperature of 11,000 degrees. And if it's burned for 40 minutes consistently, it won't vaporize. Nothing will happen to it. If something did happen to it, the fuel would have been burned off immediately upon impact. And it just proves that it's scientifically impossible that 12 tons of steel and titanium was vaporized by jet fuel. And if it was vaporized, the 2 engines that were photographed from the day, they would have been relatively intact, and from the pictures shown, there weren't any engines intact. And if the fire was hot enough to incinerate a jumbo jet, then how could investigators identify 184 out of the 189 bodies were found at the Pentagon? And I'm going to give you guys an example. On August 15, 2005, Flight 22, which is a Boeing 737, was en route to Athens, Greece, and it crashed into a hillside at full speed with 121 passengers on board, and all were found dead. There was a fire, there was tail sections, wing sections, engines, cockpit, and bodies were found. Okay. And next, I'm going to show you the 5 frames that the Department of Defense released from that day. These are the only 5 frames shown that were released to the public. And we know now that a jet plane cannot be vaporized on impact. So I'm going to show you these 5 single frames. This is the first one. The government wishes to prove to us that there was, in fact, a Boeing 757 that hit the Pentagon that day. They would have had more evidence proving to us and released to the public that there was, but there actually wasn't. You would think that the Pentagon would be loaded with cameras around this area. There was a hotel across the street, the Sheraton Hotel. All that video was confiscated. None of that video has been released to the public years later, from 2001. And none of these frames clearly show a Boeing 757 hitting the Pentagon, the west end of the Pentagon. This is the last one. And I just want you guys to know that if you were to take the time to look into more of what the government and the media portrays to everybody about any of the events, any major events caused to the United States, you would probably find out a lot of this stuff is not true. And I just think if you have doubts about any of it, you should look into it. And that's it. Bless you.
Gesundheit. So, Ivan, you here?
He's not here.
Not here. All right. That leaves me. All right. I need to stop this so that it gets enough time.